Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going after something really transformative for your English, learning to actually think in the language.
Mhm.
Breaking free from that little translator in your head that just slows you down, makes you feel like you're always trying to catch up.
Oh yeah, definitely. That whole mental juggling act,
Yeah.
constantly switching words back and forth, it's exhausting.
Right?
And it really stops you from like properly jumping into a conversation. It's like trying to watch a movie while doing complicated math homework.
Exactly. So our mission today is to give you some solid, practical tips to kind of bypass that translation step, to start processing your thoughts directly in English.
Hmm.
And we've got a great resource. One of you shared a YouTube transcript from Speak English with Class. We've really dug into it to pull out the best bits for making this shift happen.
Sounds good. Where do we start?
Okay, let's kick off with the first one. Labeling objects.
Right, this one sounds almost too simple, you know. But it's actually quite clever because it works on direct association. Well, you put labels, actual sticky notes maybe, with the English words on everyday things.
Yeah.
Around your home, your desk.
Your coffee mug, your laptop.
Exactly. And you're creating this visual direct link straight from the object to the English word. No middleman.
The source mentions some funny examples, like one person apparently labeled almost their entire apartment, which, okay, maybe a bit much.
Ah, yeah, maybe a little extreme, but memorable.
Totally. And another person labeled their mirror, which is, again, kind of funny, but think about it every time you look in the mirror.
You see the word, you reinforce it. And the thing is, it's not just about memorizing. It's about how our brains learn, using our senses, seeing the word on the thing.
It bypasses the need to think of the word in your own language first.
Precisely. It sort of turns your environment into this, like, constant passive learning zone.
Like learning by osmosis almost. You're not actively sitting down to study vocabulary lists.
Right. But your brain is making these connections all the time. The source said that eventually the English words just started, popping into their heads automatically.
Yeah, that's the goal, isn't it? Not translation, just knowing.
Exactly. That click moment. So for you listening, maybe just try it with a few things. See if you start thinking of the English word first, even without trying.
Okay, good first step. Tip number 2 feels maybe a bit more internal, using simple sentences in your thoughts.
Yes, and this is really key, especially at the beginning. You know how when you learn anything new, you start with the basics?
Right, you don't start playing a Beethoven sonata on day 1 of piano lessons.
Exactly. And trying to form really complex, perfect English sentences in your head right away, it can be really overwhelming. Counterproductive, even.
Yeah, the source mentioned that. You get tangled up trying to be too fancy in your own thoughts, and it just stops you. A mental block.
Hmm. So the advice is to consciously, deliberately form simple, straightforward English sentences about what's happening, what you need.
What kind of examples did they give?
Really basic ones like, I am hungry, or it's sunny today, I need to buy milk.
Okay, or maybe bus is late? I see a red car.
Yeah. Or even just narrating simple actions. I wash dishes, I read book. Super simple.
They sound almost too basic, maybe?
Well, yes, but that's the point. They're the building blocks. You're training your brain to just use English for your immediate reality without getting stuck on grammar or finding the perfect word.
So it keeps the English part of your brain switched on, even if it's simple stuff.
Right. And by doing that consistently, you're laying down the foundations, the mental pathways in English. Later, you'll naturally start building more complex thoughts on top of that.
So the message is, embrace the simplicity at first. Don't worry about sounding like Shakespeare in your head.
Definitely not. Just
Yeah.
focus on making that direct English connection. Basic thoughts, basic needs.
Got it. Okay, moving on. Tip number 3. Talking to yourself in English. Self-talk. Now, this one might feel a bit odd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it can feel a bit strange talking away to yourself, like you're putting on a performance for an audience of one.
But I guess the advantage is no audience.
Exactly. That's the magic. It's a completely pressure-free practice zone. Nobody's judging you. You don't have to worry about mistakes.
Right.
And the source really emphasized how this constant kind of private rehearsal can seriously speed up your ability to actually think in English.
What were the examples? I remember one about cooking.
Yeah, like narrating what you're doing. Okay, now I chop the onions. I need to boil the water. That kind of thing.
Or commenting while driving. Wow, traffic is heavy today. That car is moving fast.
Mhm. Just verbalizing your actions, your observations. It really cements the link between the thought and the English word, but in real time.
It's like practice for thinking on your feet in actual conversation.
It is. It becomes less effort over time, more automatic, like second nature.
And it's not just about the present moment, right? Didn't the source mention rehearsing future chats too?
Yes, absolutely. Like, if you know you have a meeting coming up or you need to order coffee, you can mentally run through it in English first. What you
Yeah.
might say, what they might say back.
Ah, that kind of mental prep work. I can see how that would boost your confidence.
Hugely. So, yeah, even if it feels awkward initially, try it. Narrate making breakfast or just describe the room you're in English. Out loud if you can. See how it feels.
Okay. Tip 4 takes us into the digital realm, changing your device language settings to English. Phones, apps, computers.
Right. This one can feel a bit daunting for some people, I think.
Definitely. Like, what if I can't figure out how to change it back?
Huh. Well, maybe start small. But the power here is how it weaves English into your everyday routine, like really functionally.
The people in the source, they switched everything. Phones, social media.
Yeah, they talked about it being like a mini immersion. You're suddenly navigating your daily digital life in English.
And even if you get confused sometimes looking for a setting, that confusion is actually learning.
It is. You're encountering new words, especially tech terms, in context. You have to figure it out to use your phone or app.
So it forces engagement.
Exactly. And that regular exposure just makes seeing and reading English feel more normal, more part of your world.
So the advice isn't necessarily switch everything right now.
No, probably not. Maybe pick one app you use a lot, or just your phone. See how it goes. It should feel like a manageable challenge, stretching you but not totally overwhelming you.
Makes sense. Okay, tip 5 is about visualization, thinking about situations in English.
Yeah, this is more about your internal mental landscape again. Training yourself to process what's happening around you through, like, an English filter.
So if I'm sitting in a cafe,
Instead of just passively observing, you consciously think in English. I am ordering a coffee. The barista seems friendly. This music is nice.
it's like narrating your life internally, but in English,
Yeah.
creating a mental dialogue.
Exactly. An internal soundtrack, like you said. And it's not just for the now. The source mentioned using it for the future, too.
Like the self-talk rehearsal.
Kind of, yeah. Mentally prepping for something by thinking through it in English. Or even looking back, thinking about a conversation you had and maybe what you could have said in English.
Ah, that mental rehearsal again, it keeps coming up.
Because it's powerful. So as you go about your day, just try it. Mentally describe what you see, what you're doing, maybe what you're about to do. In simple English sentences. It's subtle, but it really builds that thinking muscle.
Subtle but impactful. Okay. Tip 6 is a bit more active. Tracking activities in English. Journaling, note-taking, that sort of thing.
Right, so actually writing things down in English. Could be a diary, could be your daily to-do list, could just be notes in an app.
And the benefit is twofold, I guess. You practice writing and you're thinking in English to actually write it down.
Exactly. You're formulating the thoughts, the plans, the reflections in English first. It really integrates the language into how you organize your life.
The source mentioned that seeing your progress over time in a journal can be really motivating too.
Well, absolutely. Looking back and seeing how your expression has improved. And it doesn't have to be, long essays.
Yeah.
No, just bullet points for your day. A quick note about something interesting that happened. The key isn't perfection. It's the act of thinking and then writing in English.
Got it. So don't stress about grammar, just get the thoughts down in English.
Precisely.
Which leads nicely into the final tip, number 7, using our digital world again, texting in English.
Yeah, this is super practical today, isn't it? Using English for messages, social media posts, even setting reminders for yourself.
The source talked about people texting friends in English, right? Even if both were learners.
Yeah, because it can feel less scary than speaking face-to-face or even on the phone. You have
Yeah.
that little bit of time to think, to compose your message.
Look up a word if you need to.
Exactly. And they also mentioned joining online groups or forums where English is the main language. Another way to practice those written interactions.
So it's low-pressure practice in a very common modern format.
And doing it regularly, you just get quicker, more fluent in how you respond and express yourself in English, even when you do speak.
So maybe switch one chat thread to English. Or start commenting on things online in English.
Yeah, find ways to make it part of your routine. It's a really accessible way to immerse yourself a bit more.
Okay, those are 7 really solid tips. Before we wrap up, you mentioned the source also had a vocabulary section.
Yes, the segment with Charlotte pulled out some key terms that really underline everything we've talked about. Words like enhance, meaning to improve.
Or game changer, which is how we framed this whole idea of thinking in English right at the start.
Right. And processing thoughts, that's the core skill, isn't it? Understanding and forming ideas directly in English.
And the opposite, translating in your head that barrier we want to break down. I like the phrase, catch up to a train that's already left the station, that feeling.
Yeah, it captures that frustration perfectly. And then the advice, don't overcomplicate things. Keep your thoughts straightforward.
Even using mundane tasks to reinforce the learning, so English becomes second nature.
hmm Other useful ones were about being able to think on your feet, using self-talk, trying to immerse yourself, even with a mini immersion like device settings.
And the mental techniques, visualization, mental rehearsal, how the progress can be subtle, but really impactful.
Yeah, and things related to the process itself, like just jotting down notes, even if speaking feels intimidating at first. The goal is fluency, and the key is consistency.
Right. Staying engaged, not getting overwhelmed, and how all this works to boost your confidence, making English a natural part of your routine. It was actually quite an insightful list of terms.
It really was, and it all circles back to that main theme, doesn't it? Consistency. That's the bedrock, really.
Integrating these small things daily, that's how you make thinking in English just happen
Right.
automatically.
Exactly.
So we really hope you listening give some of these a try. You don't have to tackle all 7 at once.
No, definitely not. Just pick one or two that seem, doable or interesting to you. That's the best place to start.
And maybe think about this as you finish listening. Which of these techniques feels like the easiest way in for you? What's one tiny step you could take, maybe even today, to start nudging your brain in that direction, towards thinking directly in English?
Yeah, what's that first small step?
Something to ponder. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today. We hope these ideas give you some practical ways to really move towards thinking fluently in English.